At the edge of the universe, 400 men and women are probing the immeasurable blackness of space. Their leaders are an Earthman with no fear and a stranger with no heart. Travel beyond our time and solar system, into new galaxies, into worlds beyond your dreams. Star Trek, every week, in color.
Holy cow! It's Tuesday, 3 p.m. Earth time, Pacific Earth time, that is. That means it must be time for serious Star Trek. Oh, we're having a little party in the Jeffries tube. Welcome, everybody. Hey, guys, I'll catch up with you in the holodeck later, all right? Fantastic. See you soon. And now let's bring in your hosts. I'm your engineer, Dantron, chilling in the Jeffries tube. But we've got two men, one with no heart and one with no fear. It's up to you to decide. First, our captain, my captain, your captain. Oh, captain, my captain. He's Captain Fun, Larry Young. What's happening, Larry?
Hey, Dantron. Nothing. Just coming in off of Halloween. I'm so psyched.
All right. Well, let's bring in our good friend, the doctor. Not the doctor, but a doctor. But is he the wait? He's a PhD. I know that. Doctor who? Doctor whom? Lonnie Price, PhD. I'm trying to come up with better John intros.
You guys, am I a hologram? Is that what we're doing? I'm a hologram now? Am I real? Hold on.
Wow.
That's a legit question.
John's having
I'm having a moment. Where's my mobile emitter that I got from Dave Porter? There it is. Mobile emitter, Dave Porter. I'm gonna slap this baby on and make sure I don't go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who knows?
Bride of erotica. You know what I mean? There we go.
Man.
I'm good to go.
He does. If I'm Captain Fun, John definitely needs Dr.
I'm working on it.
He's working on it.
Dr. Absinthe or something.
Dr. Absinthe? Is that me?
Yeah,
Dr. Absinthe?
Something steampunky.
Dr. Y, maybe. Or you know what I'm saying?
Dr.
Loose Brass Fittings.
Here's
Dr.
my
Labs.
Hercules. Hello, Hercules. How you doing?
So, fellas, it's another week.
Good.
It's time for another serious something. There's no Star Trek happening, right? There's no.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst time of year when there's no Star Trek.
There's one thing I read. I read a story this week talking about how Star Trek Picard is super popular, well watched, the most watched of all the Star Trek.
Okay.
Larry.
Is there?
Am I falling prey to the terrible the fake ratings machine that has come out of the
the impressions, the Twitter impressions.
Stuff. First, I would like to avoid and apologize for the famous Chinese space program disagreement of a couple months ago. So I don't mean that. I don't mean the look on my face didn't mean oh, here goes Dantron again on some damn fool idealistic crusade. But I meant that whenever they say that Kurtzman's Star Trek is popular, it's just based on nothing. I could tell you I have solid gold toenails, and your first thing would be well, can I see? And so whenever they say, oh, this is the best thing ever, the immediate backlash was okay, can we see your ratings? And they realized there's no way around that. So then it all became really specifically worded stuff. Well, this is the most times on a Tuesday that fell in March in a year that was, and they bring it out to go, well, yeah, it's you and that stupid Roseanne Barr thing. So of course you won, right?
Okay. Let me play devil's advocate just a tiny bit here, because I was thinking about it and I go, of the demographic of today, of all society, what is the most popular remembered Star Trek thing? And I think it's Next Generation. I might be wrong about that, but I
Probably.
think that's the most fondly remembered by people like my age and like our kind of in our.
Alive. That's what you were gonna say, right? People that are
No,
still
I meant
alive.
Still relevant either way. Whatever, one of those. No, you know what I'm saying. Like most people, actually, if you say that, like if you kind of ask someone if they're a Star Trek fan and they said yes, there's a pretty good chance they're going to say I like Next Generation, but I don't like the corny old Captain Kirk stuff. So like it makes sense to me that there's the widest net, and that makes it more, that makes Picard essentially a nostalgia show for actors and a set of characters that we knew together, which gives it an additional boost beyond like Star Trek is nostalgia for Star Trek, but it's all, each series is a whole new thing, a bunch of new actors. This is, people we know. So kind of, I gave it a little bit of weight that more people are watching that certainly than watched Discovery, and that could have poisoned the well for Strange New Worlds too. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's definitely what they wanted when they greenlit Picard. They definitely wanted all those people who grew up watching The Next Generation to say, "Hey, I will definitely watch this because it's Picard." Right? The problem is that first season was so bad, and they completely ruined the entire character of Jean-Luc Picard. And to your point about nostalgia, at the time, Patrick Stewart said, and everyone said at the same time as well, we don't want Picard to be a nostalgia show, but they've gone down route A and it was horrible. They've gone down route B and it was horrible. And it feels like they're going down route C, which is nostalgia show. And that's season 3, and we're going to find out if it's in fact horrible. We'll see.
I will say, you guys know I love my Star Trek. I watch all the Star Trek. I don't care. And I have seen the trailer for Picard season 3 more than I have like any other episode of the first 2 seasons. I just watch it perfunctorily. I'm like, all right, I know what everybody's talking about. Boy, that was awful. Kind of want that time back, but I just fill it up with more Star Trek. So who cares? But that trailer is like, okay, here's some fucking good costumes for a change. All right, here's some characters you don't have to introduce because I know who they are. All you have to do is go, I'm a dentist now, and I'm good. Tell your story, right? And I don't know. It's like, why they do that stuff on season 3 instead of, fucking minute 1 of episode 1.
Well, and I think it goes back to the fact that they explicitly did not want. They wanted new characters. Yeah. They wanted. Patrick Stewart said, "I don't want to wear a uniform." But they said that in interviews. I don't want to be wearing a uniform. I don't want to stay engaged. So of course, what do? They have to write a show then that has no characters that you recognize, and has no what would you even call it, anchor? There's no anchor for the audience other than Patrick Stewart, which is why they put 7 and 9 in there, because that was their backdoor way of being like, hey, here's something you remember, I
just love these cats. They're all like, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to do what's best for you people. And that never, ever, ever has worked in the history of mankind.
No.
The audience is who you guys are working for. And that's why I tell my kid who's getting into video production, and so I'm his sole acting crew, and I tell him, like, dude, just tell me what my job is to make sure you have a puppet giving you your vision, right? Just actors are meat puppets. I have no say. If you ask me advice, that's something different. You'll be talking to dad. But this, I'm a crazy soldier that just came back from the war. Like, so tell me. And so that's because I'm trying to he's my audience, right? All they have to do, every Star Trek fan in the universe has been telling you what they want since 1966. And if it's a good Star Trek, it's because you got some Star Trek in it. And if it's not really well received, it's because somebody has to, deal with their childhood molestation issues.
Well, they don't. I was gonna say they don't. You say it's easy, just listen to the audience. They're not listening to the audience. They never wanted to listen to the audience. Right. They thought the Star Trek audience was not their friend. they wanted to move beyond the quote unquote Star Trek audience because, let's be real, the Star Trek audience, as is a very kind of niche audience. It is very specific to Star Trek, right? Star Wars, every single person in the world goes to see a Star Wars movie, right? You have your nerds who know, oh, in 15 ABY, blah, blah, blah happened. And then you have your normal people who are like, yeah, explosions. Everyone loves TIE fighters, right? There's that whole spectrum, right? Even like, and it's not even gendered, there's a ton of, there's just as many girls Star Wars fans as there are guys Star Wars fans, right? Star Trek's not like that. Although it is interestingly gendered in a different way. But Star Trek is not like that. You're either a super Star Trek fan or you're someone who, yeah, I've seen a couple episodes and I've never thought about it ever again in my life.
You know what I love about
no
that? In between. It ties into you're almost saying some folklore stuff, I think, because it's because Star Wars is all archetypes, right? So that's why your regular joke is like, oh, I get the wizard, I get the farm boy, I get the princess. Put her in a bikini and I'll start buying action figures, right? But Star Trek is the Shakespeare, right? It's Kirk going, Spock going to be and McCoy going or not to be, and Kirk going, that is the question. If you dig on that, you're a different kind of guy that's like, oh, what kind of gun did they use for the blaster, right?
Right.
There's overlap, sure. Like I'm one of those guys. I love them both. But that's two different kind of fans. And it sounds insulting, but it's intellectual, right? In the sense that Star Trek is very brainy. Like, how many episodes are there? It's like Kirk arguing with some guy about something that represents something from Vietnam, right? That's like an hour episode, and it's thrilling because of how they write it. Star Wars, like in an hour, they blow up 5 planets and, on the trash competitor.
Oh my God, it's the greatest plot twist in cinema history. No, it's not. His name is literally Dark Father. Like, go away. Anyway, okay. All right. I love Star Wars. I hate Star Wars fans so much. Okay.
I mean, there's also the fact though that Star Trek is explicitly humans and humanity, and it's our aspiration to go there. And Star Wars is explicitly in a galaxy far, far away. Like, this is nothing. This is not Star Trek's like what humanity could be aspiring to be, right. Living in fucking uniforms in a fucking tube in the sky. It's not my idea of paradise. Let's tell you.
Well, then you would be stuck on Starbase 80. Sorry.
Oh, speaking of that,
that's a Lower Decks joke for the audience.
Speaking of that, screw the fucking badgie bullshit, man. I can't.
Well, they figured out that the audience likes badgie, so they're like, "Ooh, badgie! Every third episode, badgie. It'll happen." Every other sitcom in the world has their stupid side character that they bring back over and over again.
It just badgie to me is like you're cooking along. You're at your favorite bar. There's some cute girl talking to you. You're buying the scotch. And then all of a sudden she goes, let's do Jaeger. It's okay, I guess I'm still in, but can't we just do what was happening before?
I thought Badgie was clever the first episode he came out.
That shit.
And it was like, you invert a computer program and it's bad.
Yeah.
And I thought it was good. And I like that character actor who does the voice, but yeah, they're going to that well one too many times, which is for Lower Decks out of the norm, because they don't do that typically. They have funny jokes that they just move on, like, yeah, that was a funny joke, okay, but at the same time they do. And I know if Suntress is here, he'll talk about how Mariner is the same joke over and over again, and to some extent that's true, but for the most part Lower Decks has done a good job of maturing the humor a little bit.
I can't wait for that live action stuff, man.
I did remember one other Star Trek related thing that I posted about this week, which was the fact that all of the Star Trek movies are going to be on HBO Max.
Yeah.
Like, what if I had not already canceled my Paramount Plus subscription? Why would I not? And I'm a Star Trek fan, and I'm like, I'm going Paramount Plus because I get all the Star Trek. Oh, except the core, most important pieces of the cinematic canon. Except that those parts you get it. So like I don't know what does that mean? Does that mean that the Star Trek movies are worth more than like all the other Paramount Plus stuff combined? Like how, or is it just a temporary thing? Like they're going to get it they do it for 6 months and then it was such a big pile of money they can't turn it down?
Yeah, I don't understand. And I mean, Larry, you probably know a lot more about this just in terms of like the nuts and bolts of it all. But I don't understand because like Paramount Plus isn't bad. Like CBS All Access was bad. Paramount Plus isn't bad per se. There's a lot of good, I hate the word content, but there's a lot of good movies on there. There's a lot of good shows on there. And it's not perfect. It's not Disney, but it's for what it is, it's pretty good, you know? And then their whole thing, they stripped Star Trek away from all of the other, away from Amazon, away from Netflix, because this was their whole initiative. We're bringing Star Trek home. It's coming home to Paramount Plus. This is going to be the only place you can get Star Trek, right? And then even from the beginning, that was never true though, because they had rotating licenses that they had to kind of wait to fizzle out. And then you find out that the movies are all going to other places, right? There was a whole big article at the time because nobody knew it was going to HBO Max. They just disappeared one day. So there was an article flying around, be like, where'd all the Star Trek movies go? I thought we were supposed to be watching Star Trek all the time. Where's all the movies? And then they pop up on HBO Max, and it's like, what is the economics of this? Like, why are you selling off Star Trek or licensing out Star Trek to other? Like, what is going on here? I don't know. So,
Captain,
I have a thought. Now, I'm just it's not a legal advice of any kind. I'm not a medical professional, but it's got to be something contractual that probably follows a really long thing from like when Paramount was a Gulf Western company, and then whatever happened with Viacom, and then to put it back together. Because the movies you're talking about are just the early ones with the original casts, right? The Kirk, the Shatner ones, and the Picard ones. It's like the first 10, right?
yeah.
So those are the oldest movies. So those are probably the ones. So somebody either has a slice of control over what happened, because like this is what takes so long to figure stuff out with something like Max Headroom. It's like, oh, that company went out of business. The network earned some of that. This guy bought it. This bail bondsman company guy in LA who won the lottery has a slice. It's like, seriously, it's crazy shit like that. It's super more streamlined now, but I, especially so historically close to this like Viacom split and put back together thing. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you those movies got caught up in that, and nobody really realized it because their marketing people were selling that, like John said. Finally a Star Trek all in one place. Sweet.
Totally.
So who knows?
Well, and I wonder if I'm sorry, Dan, just real quick. I wonder if like it's almost like a screw you type thing to Paramount, because the marketing people were going hard on the Star Trek thing, and I wonder if whoever that person is at HBO or whoever was like, oh man, we're gonna make them have so much egg on their face when this happens. It's gonna be great because fuck you, Paramount. I don't know.
The only other thing that makes sense, like I actually maybe from a logical strategy standpoint, is, and they might even not be this smart to put these things together, but like it's almost like you could put the movies out there in other places and it advertises for Star Trek. People see those, and if they want more Star Trek, there's one place to go. You go to Paramount Plus, and eventually the movies will return there. Like if once they've sold them to all those other venues, like rented them to Netflix for a year.
I'm telling you, it's something we can't figure out because Discovery just bought Warner's, right? So HBO is owned by Warner's. So Discovery has some kind of holdings where they control the distribution of the first 10 movies, and which expires at a point. So they're like, they could sell it back to Paramount, but then they could just run it and go, haha. And you're getting them back eventually anyway, whenever I guarantee you, Discovery ended up with somebody who has the rights for the first 10 movies.
But I mean, those were Paramount Pictures, right? All those movies.
But you never. I'm saying distribution though. You never know, right?
Yeah, totally.
Like Marvel. That's why we don't have a Hulk movie, standalone Hulk movie, because Universal owns the distribution rights, and they're not a Disney company. So, did you hear this new one? The reason Sklar showed up in She-Hulk is because they're gonna do World War Hulk. Because technically, it's not a standalone Hulk movie.
Sure,
it's all the Hulks. They're gonna put everybody in there, right? The Red Hulk. Dude, I just think that's hilarious. Like that's like a legal argument. Well, no, this isn't a standalone story. This is a story of all the variations of this character. So that's a completely different thing, and we get all the money.
I'm glad you reminded me of that. Harrison Ford. Everyone's so excited about Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross, aka the Red Hulk, which already spoils what the mystery of who is the Red Hulk, which, by the way, was like the dumbest Hulk storyline of all time, where like even the biggest Hulk fans are like, this is just poorly written. Jeff Loeb wrote it, and that guy, oh my gosh, it was one of the most atrocious, beautiful Ed McGuinness artwork, but like the most dumb storyline ever. So it really makes me worry that they're going to bring too much of that into them.
Weird.
I love Ed McGuinness. Also, you see our porn stuff isn't showed up in the side. I don't know if you have to do something about that. But
oh, I didn't see. You can do stuff. Should I put them in timeout or just block them? I'm putting you in. No, I'm blocking you. I'm blocking you, girls, for sexy whatever.
Hey, Qui-Gon's in the house.
I think this is what Larry is talking about, because Universal the distribution rights, but maybe is that just for film or just like for the
No, it's specifically for the Marvel MCU Hulk. Is that the way Marvel Studios did their version? Universal has control because of the TV show, and so they had their contract. I think at this point is like, fine, do what you want, except we have to be the distributor. That's a significant slice of the money, right? So why would Disney do that?
Yeah, right. No,
the world isn't dying for a standalone Hulk movie. So if you can use the character, what's the big deal? So now they're just using the character, and it's like,
which is almost genius, because Hulk never really worked as his own. Doesn't
very
work.
Marvel. It's very Marvel.
Yeah, it's a great move. Very smart.
Anyway, I'm totally down with Harrison Ford being a Hulk.
I don't know. I'm of two minds on it. I guess if you're going to get somebody good, bring Harrison. But what is the last movie Harrison Ford was in? I was racking my brain to think of it. I don't know.
Let's see. Last one I can remember where he was a big deal.
I mean, Star Wars. He was in Star Wars, not counting him dying in Star Wars.
John, did you say Ender's Game or? Yeah.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
that's the last big one that I can remember. But he doesn't
have to be in movies.
He's always
fucking Harrison Ford.
Let's go to the Internet Movie Database.
Oh yeah, Blade
2049.
Yeah, but that's not a reboot of Han Solo or Blade Runner. I mean, or Indiana Jones for that matter. Like in this century. What's a Harrison Ford movie that is not just a reboot of a 20th century?
What's the
movie? Like, there's nothing.
Oh, there's one movie I'm thinking of. It's him and Josh Hartnett as cops, and it's just the greatest movie.
I love it already.
U.S. lost the space race, and Harrison Ford lost the whatever race.
You lost that love and feeling. How great is Top Gun, by the way? It's just a great movie.
New one you talking about?
Whatever, just in general. Like, Top Gun's amazing. That's all.
Not a fan, to tell you the truth.
No, you don't like American.
Never liked it.
Movies?
Never liked it.
You don't like Top Gun at all?
Yeah, I don't know that I've even seen it since.
Well, you can't say you don't like Top Gun if you haven't seen it.
I've seen it. I saw it whenever, but probably not in the theaters and probably not uncensored. And I probably saw it when I was young on like Channel 2 cut up or something like that. So maybe, but that one just whooshed right over me. I was never Tom Cruise has never done a thing for me. Like, I liked some of what he's done in those Mission Impossible movies, but I also feel like I never forgave them for what they did to the legacy of the old show.
It's fair. It's fair.
I didn't
Tom
like
Cruise has made some good sci-fi movies. What's the one? Oblivion's pretty good. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's just a
Edge of
sci-fi
Tomorrow.
movie. Edge of
Man,
Tomorrow.
I love Tom Cruise. As much as he doesn't do anything for you, I will go see anything.
He's a weirdo. I wouldn't leave him with children, but
no, of
he can
course
make
not.
movies all he wants.
Dude, that guy will do anything to entertain an audience.
I have a lot of respect for that. His stunt work and stuff.
You can have my money, man. Thank you.
Tom Cruise going into space for his next movie?
Yes, him and Doug Liman, the two of them. That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I had no desire to see much Mission Impossible. Then I saw that fight scene with Henry Cavill and that other dude in the bathroom in that. Oh my god! Amazing.
My son loves the Mission Impossible movies. I was with you where I'm like, hey, screw you, Tom, because you made Phelps into a bad guy.
Yeah.
Then the fourth one came out, and I'm like, oh, all right, I'm good. Who cares? We're good. This is awesome now. And so they get exponentially better too. So my son and I were talking about that, and I called up. There's an interview with Cavill on YouTube where he said that those are choreographed fight scenes, right? And it was amazing. No one was getting hurt because as careful as you are, because there's three of them. It was Tom Cruise and him and the Japanese guy that they're after in the bathroom, and all that stuff is like stuff. And
yes, amazing.
And they're slamming each other's head, and they were like, "Oh my god, did I kill you?" And they get up and go, "No, that was great, thanks." But since it's so choreographed, they're doing the same moves all the time, right? Because you have to, like, with precision, or somebody is. So Cavill's, the end of his biceps are getting sore apparently. And so he did that to get ready for the scene. It's like just to shock his muscles back to life or something. And then he did the scene, and Lyman is like, what, or whoever the director was like, dude, why didn't you do that thing with your arms? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm just like getting ready. He's like, no, that's great. And so then the time he did it with like maximum, beefcake. Here you go. So that's why, but the first one was an accident. So I think that's awesome. The happy accident that happened to make
the Tom Cruise commitment in this day of like digital special effects, the commitment to like real stunts is worth something. It's like the last thing we have for big movies that's worth going to a big movie for. So I guess, but it hasn't pulled me in.
It's true.
It's all of those movies are worth it to me for all the behind the scenes stuff. Like, that what's that giant tower that they hung him off of in Saudi Arabia?
Millennium.
The tallest building in the world. Yeah. So he gets out there. They can't tell the insurance company that they're hanging him off with piano wire. So they just go out there and he does a couple little things, and they break for lunch and forget that he's there, right? Because why would you leave Tom Cruise out? So he's now sideways on this building, like so far up that if something happens, he like dies of old age before he hits the ground. And instead of freaking out or calling on his radio, he goes, "Oh, this is just time for me to practice." And so there's no one there in case something does happen, but he's just swinging, running, doing the running back and forth thing, swinging. I'm like, dude, that guy can do anything, and I will buy a ticket to go see it. That's all.
Yeah, not The Mummy though.
I even like The Mummy. That was great.
Hector says the Mummy was enjoyable. No, The Mummy is an Alex Kurtzman film, and therefore we are not allowed to like it on this channel.
Well, yeah, but you know what?
Nope.
All the actors, it's so well cast. Like Tom Cruise and who's that? Steve Zahn. Is it Steve Zahn? Or am I thinking
Timothy Zahn?
I don't know. There's like a sidekick guy that is really good. He's so good I forget who it is.
Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg's
No, in Mission
No?
Impossible. Yeah, no.
Sorry.
This is the guy in the Mummy. I feel like it's somebody that was on a beloved sitcom. Anyway, and the girl too. The girl plays the Mummy. She's fantastic. She plays Elektra in the Netflix Daredevil. So I just followed along. Yeah, the whole thing is ridiculous. But,
that was right. Tom Cruise was
I
involved
love it.
with that whole. They wanted to do that for a hot second. They wanted to do that cinematic universe with all the monster movies, and
they did that promotional image with them all.
I still think that's
all together.
That's what they could totally do that if they had commitment to doing it right way. It could totally be done. That's something people would be into. They had a lot of star power behind it. They had crews on board, right? And it just they didn't have any faith.
Russell Crowe was in it. What's his face? Some other guy was in it. Yeah, no, they had that whole promotional image with them all photoshopped together. They could have done it. Like they just got scared when the Mummy tanked.
Yeah, I really wish they had. That was cool. They would have had their own like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with the Universal Monsters.
Yeah.
If they had done it right, like Marvel style, then they could have done like an Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein, like in the present day. Like they could have done a comedy with a hardcore monster movie. Like they could do. There's room for that kind of stuff if they had succeeded with the whole universe concept.
If I was just Universal, I'd go outside and cry because Marvel showed them how to do it with a Werewolf by Night. It's like, here you go, man. That's all you need to do. Why aren't you doing that? And then, gradually bring it into the future or whatever you want to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I still haven't watched that.
Friggin' Hector's schooling me left and right. Jake Johnson was in that movie, The Mummy. But I was kind of right. Beloved sitcom. Who doesn't love New Girl?
Who doesn't love New Girl? New Girl's an amazing show.
Price is taking his Jake Johnson cosplay, I said, famously, so much that he's marrying a girl named Jess, and was like, wow, I think that was the one jackass thing I've ever said, that Jess.
Who's that girl?
Okay, he lives.
Did you put a word search in there? Hell yeah. It's a word search.
Exactly.
In your zombie novel.
This is Harold and Kumar meet Frankenstein. Man, Chris Sagasag, he's so quiet.
There you go. That's it.
He's not like super flamboyant, but every once in a while he's like, here's the genius thing. And then he goes back.
Harold
Just nails it.
Yeah, what happened to those guys? They're doing something now.
Well, there's one guaranteed way to get your comment read on air, and that's through a super chat.
Oh, dude, that'll get you huge. That'll get you huge thanks and maybe even a special effect. But we haven't got one of those in months, fellas. But
never mind. I just saw it. Hector was like, Sophia Boutella. It was in New Trek 3. Yeah, she was.
She was Jayla.
But she's also the girl in the Kingsman with the blade feet. And isn't that the girl who played Elektra in Netflix Daredevil? I thought it was.
No. Elektra is someone else. I don't remember her name.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, but she's awesome.
I have some scorecards to rearrange.
Sophia Boutella is definitely deserves more work.
I did have another topic on
let's do it
on tap to talk about, and it's like current events.
Tap it out.
Dystopian sci-fi of our past is fusing with our future, with the Elon Musk Twitter purchase. This is hot. This is what all the hot YouTubes are talking about right now. So, guys, we got to dive into current events a little bit and get frisky with it. What's the deal? What do you think? Is this the end of the world? Is this going to make Twitter a unruly, like Wild West kind of place, or is it going to make it better?
No.
My opinion, we can get my opinion, my factual, complete opinion out of the way so quickly it's not even funny. So what? Like I've never been on Twitter. I'm not gonna be on Twitter. I don't care what happens to Twitter. It's hilarious when John Price sends me something. My friend Nancy Sen curates my Twitter experience, and that's great. If you get that where two friends of yours who are super funny on their own, but get your sense of humor, go, here's some I think you like. Well, fuck yeah, Twitter. You're the Xerox fax machine thing of the 1980s, right? That's great. But anything else, like, I don't get why people give it so much credence. In San Francisco, the reporters use that to talk to each other about shit that controls things. And I'm like, that's not right. That's just not right.
That's the secret power of Twitter. The secret power of Twitter isn't that it's like the best thing ever created. It's all in the users, right? The users are highly institutional people, and agencies use Twitter to communicate with each other. Therefore, if you want to know the news, breaking news, Twitter's a great place to be. If you want to talk about the news, you want to talk about politics, all of that's a great place to be because news breaks very quickly on Twitter. It's great for current events. It's great for when there's like a war going on. You can get a whole bunch of different opinions. You can find those different opinions very quickly, very easily. For a normal person living their everyday life, Twitter has no value. And no impact. It has no impact on your life. Like, none. Hey, what should we have for dinner tonight? Let me check Twitter. That's not a thing. Like, that doesn't.
Well, some would argue it even has a negative impact on a lot of people's lives too.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely argue that. Right. So Elon Musk buying Twitter is him fighting back against. It's very what's the phrase? Like, it's in groups fighting with each other. Right. And so it's very much just him pushing back against the kids across the cafeteria from him at the same private school. You know, am I belaboring this too much? You know, where it's like now I run the school paper, not you.
Totally.
I'm gonna make you pay for it. You know, and it's like, dude, no one cares. Like,
that's so sadly,
team, you know.
That's so sadly perfect. You should put that on Twitter.
I should put that on Twitter.
So people will see it.
So full disclosure, I tweet way too much. I'm on Twitter way too often. So, you know, who the hell am I? I don't know.
Twitter is one of those ones that I never understood even really how to use it. Like, it was the first one of these big online things. Like, I had a Twitter handle very early, very hard to get like a 6-letter Twitter handle that's just a word, right? Like, I got one from way back at hijinks. But like, I never used it and I never got it. It never clicked with me why, like, because anything we're saying, people were doing 100 tweets about it, and you had to go read it. You had to go fucking read them backwards in a weird in a weird feed. It just never clicked. It was the first online thing where I felt like, oh, the internet is passing me by. Like, I used to be Mr. Online guy, and now I'm like, I don't understand it anymore. And now there's like, that has continued to this day into things like Discord and other chat services and ways of communicating that I just like, it doesn't work for me.
So that's a really good segue, because Twitter is a very generational sort of thing. And what I mean by that is nobody under 30 uses Twitter anyway. Like, so it's literally this like one, it's such a siphoned off sort of thing where because I mean, you know, no one at Starfleet Academy High School uses Twitter. You know, no one at Starfleet Academy uses Twitter. They're using Discord. Discord is basically, I mean, as far as I can tell, it's a glorified AOL chat room, which they're too young to remember. So to them, it looks very fresh and new. And, you know, you can add all sorts of visuals and all that sort of stuff. But, like, again, they're using Snapchat to talk to each other. Like, they're using Discord to talk to each other. They're using all these other apps, you know, what's the one?
WhatsApp?
I don't even remember what the fuck it's called. Like, this, I'm so old, it doesn't even matter. So, like, they're using stuff where Twitter isn't going to survive. Facebook, Meta company, just friggin' bombed. Facebook is literally on, like, death's bed right now. No one even knows about it. Like, you know, unless, like, no one uses Facebook except for a very small proportion of the online user base. It's just, everything's weird, right? And this is one of the problems, right? So something becomes popular and everybody overreacts to that popular thing, not recognizing that that popular thing isn't always going to be popular. This is literally what happens under every circumstance of every permutation of anything you ever talk about. Something becomes popular, everybody freaks out and says, oh, we have to stop this thing from being popular. It will stop being popular on its own. Like, there's a reason why MySpace is a joke, right? Friendster. Anyone use Friendster? You know? Like,
yeah, I mean,
it goes away.
When MySpace was like the height of everything, there was that moment, like, I don't know, 2000 or whatever it was, where it was like everybody was on MySpace, had to be MySpace, and it cleared out overnight. Part of the challenge for Facebook, and I think part of the reason why its stock has been performing so poorly, is they've now been kind of, their whole MO in the past was any social media company that they see getting exponential growth, they go in and they buy them.
Yeah.
And now they've either can't do that or they've been legally prohibited and they're having monopoly issues they're going to prevent them. And that's their only hope of growth because, like you said, John, it is extremely generational, the services that you grow up with. It's hard to be imagined, though, like, what is the replacement for Facebook?
It's a question. It's a question of this Facebook meeting the demands of the users. And for Facebook users, the answer is yes, obviously. It's a very good way to curate news, to curate interactions, right? Kids today don't give a shit. Like, they are not interested whatsoever in creating those sort of communities.
It's a little weird.
They just aren't.
Like, that's what I was wondering. Like, TikTok seems like it's not about connecting with people, communicating with people at all. It's about getting fed stuff and consuming feeds.
Can I just give you a little anecdote about as the owner of a 15-year-old?
Yes.
He doesn't care at all about social media because he's got his Discord and his 10 or 15 buddies have a little run that they just write stupid shit to each other all day. And it's like, it's basically the kids that had to learn how to deal with stuff during the coronavirus. It's like, this is their social thing. But
yeah,
instead
totally.
of having broadcasting, hey, look at this cool comic book I did to 5,000 people. They just have the 10 or 15 guys that they want to talk to. And like, here you go. Should we let, Susie Q in? No, she's a girl. We're the He-Man, the Women's Haters Club. Like, and that's stuff that you would say to your buddy outside the locker in the hallway.
Yeah.
They just can't anymore because of social distancing or whatever. So, I don't know. That's just anecdotally.
We turbocharged that, dude. We drove that into the darkness. And then turbocharged it with the pandemic lockdown and stuff, too. Because like you said, the kids had no choice. They had to splinter off and oh, you want me to stay home and just talk to everybody through my computer all day? Okay, I guess I'll do that. It was a dream come true for a lot of kids.
Yeah, man. My kid would be like, for 6 hours, he's like, well, I'm playing with Cole, his buddy, right? So they're fooling around on Minecraft or whatever they were doing, but they're talking, right? And he sounded didn't want to take that away from him. It's like, hey, enjoy talking to somebody your age instead of listening to your dad cry about Alex Kurtzman and your mom, coming back from her business trip. You know what I mean? It's like, but that was it for 2.5 years. It's I can't believe this world is going to exist in the future.
Well, and that's the sunny side. That's
fun.
the sunny side of it too. Because imagine the kid who's hates being at home and their only escape was to go to school and get away from their family or whatever.
Exactly.
It must have been pretty.
That's a whole other issue. Not to mention the fact that now they're being put back into social environments and they have literally no idea what to do.
Yeah, totally.
They
can't. They haven't even had the
talk to each other.
No.
Yeah, they talk to each other by typing now. In class, when there's nothing to do in class, I'm like, hey, we got an extra 15 minutes or whatever. Just sit around and twiddle your thumbs, right? They don't talk to each other verbally. It's dead silent in the room, but they're all talking to each other, typing.
That's crazy.
Because that's how they socialize.
Yeah.
That's how they know how to socialize. It's insanity. Starfleet Academy High School is an insane place to live.
And they let you guys, those guys get. You're allowed to have phones in school, huh? You just can't have them in class or
Well, that's a whole issue. I don't want to
yeah.
talk about it on record.
Because I don't know when does Larry, does your kid have a phone?
Yeah, but he's 15, man. Like yesterday, he went trick or treating without us, so I would not have been that cool.
Also, isn't your kid like a hunk now? You know, he's like the Hulk. You know.
Yeah, it doesn't mean the world can't take him.
He's going to be Harrison Ford's stunt double for that movie.
I hope he was out there intimidating other kids for their candy. That's what I'm hoping.
That kid, man. His favorite vegetable is broccoli, and he's on the football team now and is thinking, I kind of want to take that Shakespeare comedy class next year. But I'll keep lifting with the football team. Yeah. And it's like, you are the weirdest ass kid ever.
That's what we need. That's what this world needs, Larry. We're gonna get out of this thing because I don't know, dude. There's a lot of mush, nothing kids out there. I'm sorry, I hate to say it to you kids out there, all you parents of little nothings, but there's just a lot of kids who are just like, it's been nothing but video games and like handheld electronics for like their whole life to the point where you can't really have a conversation. I mean, maybe I'm intimidating. I'm a weird looking blue dude, but like, it's hard. I mean, I'm fun to talk to. And sometimes it's just tough to find any point of like, it's all video games or like Japanese. If it's even comics, it's something completely foreign to me. And I feel like we're on the verge of a whole turnover of a generation where in 20 years from now, if it goes the way it's gone, it's going to be all Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon movies and stuff. That's all we're going to see.
I was talking to Walker about how his generation isn't really going to have a Ready Player One because all their references aren't widespread, right? It's little pockets of cool regional, not regional, but like regional on the internet, right? Like, of course, some guy from Sweden can be in your group, right? But it's still like, this is a funny thing amongst these guys, right? And then what John was saying, it gets blown up like, oh, this is the prevailing cool thing. And it's like, no, it's not. 16 guys and their friend from Sweden, if they, just had a big presence, right?
Right.
It's insane. Anyway.
Yeah, and TikTok, I want to talk about TikTok in the chat. TikTok is basically evil. It's literally malware from China that has taken over the world, and we should ban it. And I stand with the FBI in their efforts to put distance between us and the Chinese government.
There's been a lot of very interesting news. Like there was that leak about that talk about TikTok. They're saying it's like being used to track specific individuals in the United States. That's all they would say about it. But then there was a big thing that just broke yesterday was like admission of really widespread shadow censoring on social media by the US government, like suppressing stories about things you wouldn't like, from everything from COVID denial, election denial, to anything anti-Ukrainian war. They've been like sort of putting the algorithmic clamps on through social media by putting pressure on social media, like threatening them with litigation and stuff if they don't clamp down. It's really kind of scary stuff.
So a place like Twitter is interesting because like the whole idea of everyone gets a voice, right? Except there's no way to moderate which voice is smarter than other voices, right? Which leads to the downside of democratic thinking, which is mob rule, right? And one of the reasons the Constitution talks about minority rights so much is because mob rule is bad. There's no way to buttress ourselves against mob rule on the internet, because it's literally the whole point. The whole point is to get as many people to agree with you as possible, right? So don't get me wrong, I don't agree with the US government and what they do. However, it's an interesting dilemma that you face when it's like, no, this thing that is factually incorrect, how do we control this thing from factually incorrect? How do we control that from being the thing that everyone thinks is correct? Right? It's a weird dilemma. I don't know. I don't have an answer other
I mean,
than
I get sent. I get like wanting to lock down a story that is verified false, but like who's doing the verification? They shut down the Hunter Biden laptop story and stuff, claiming it was Russian disinformation and that's all been exposed that it absolutely was.
And the backlash is so predictable. It's like, well, when you ban something that didn't need to be banned, or clamp down something that didn't need to clamp down, all of a sudden all the crazy people who think there's a conspiracy going on are all of a sudden going, look, I was right. And then all it does is give them more authority. So it's like it's asinine to me. But that's anyway.
I just like that we're talking about something that had John Price say, I stand with the FBI, like in a clear and unwavering voice. That was awesome.
That's tough for me as a guy from New Jersey. It's tough for me to say something like I stand with the FBI. All right, no snitches, no snitches.
No, I mean, look, I know there's a lot of crazy misinformation out there on the internet, all kinds of information though, but who's going to be the arbiter of it? And ultimately who gets to decide what's crazy or not has to be us. We have to be well informed. We have to be our own gatekeepers, and we have to be trained in like semiotics and understanding how media works, which is something that that's not something taught in schools at all, unless you go to broadcasting school like me.
That's what communications degrees are supposed to be. It's supposed to be how to teach you to see through that stuff. At the risk of offending anyone with a communications degree, they're not that rigorous, unfortunately. So a lot of times all it does is make you kind of more compliant in some ways, which is a weird
interesting.
But
I studied broadcasting. Like TV, where they teach you specifically how to lie, how to use those tools to tell a story. So it's like it opens your eyes to how those tools are used to spread lies. And
right. And people don't ever stop and think sometimes. And it's so easy. I mean, everyone does it, to just read the headlines and get off on headlines. But I mean, headlines are crafted. They're literally manipulating you into believing this is the thing that happened. They're not doing it maliciously sometimes, but it's still literally being crafted. And that's something that I think people just either don't care about or aren't interested in or don't know. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I tell my kids, I tell my kids, I've said this multiple times. They're sick of me saying it, right? So at Starfleet Academy High School, I tell the kids, I don't care in 10 years if you remember that Jamestown was 1607. I don't care. I'm not going to cry myself to sleep. However, I want you to look at a document or look at a picture and be able to read between the lines and deconstruct that document or picture, right? That is what I care about. And, for some, it holds more than others. But the point being, like, that is what critical thinking is. That is what education should be about, not necessarily just memorizing details. But,
it's wild. Yeah, because we don't arm the kids against it, against that kind of stuff. And it used to be like you said, it's through institutions. It trickles down through editorial boards and all these things. And it's maybe not overt censorship, but it's just like the way it is if you're part of the system. But now they're like, Facebook, not only do they know the harmful effects that their algorithms have, they're actively like aiming for that. They know they have PhDs who that's their whole thing, is to get you engaged. But I feel like it's coming to a point of backlash. Maybe it gets to a point where the next wave is going to be just turn off altogether of to the degree that you can, and just do not be a social media person at all. That might be in my future.
I don't know. If I had the answer of what the future holds, I would have a lot more money, and I would be able to buy the Star Trek movies from HBO. And I would run them on PBS all day, every day, like a true American.
I certainly hope if you have all the money that you just buy Star Trek and we can finally get some good shows going.
If I win any amount of lottery, the first thing I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out how much Star Trek I can buy. Just how much
Right,
of this intellectual property can I
right.
purchase?
How much?
1/10? Can I buy 1/10? Like,
How much does a seat in the writer's room cost?
right?
Just
Exactly.
5 years. I don't want a
Right.
slice of the action figures.
Just someone who can sit there and scream,
Be
"No, it's
nice
a
and do one of
deflector."
me.
Those horrible uniforms need to go.
Well, I honestly, I think, well, Strange New Worlds, if it doesn't solve the problem, like season 2 is really going to be the teller. It's going to have to come through. It's going to have to be better than season 1 was. Season 1 was okay.
Season 1 was good.
It was okay. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Pretty good.
Wow, that was a solid B- of a show. That was
that's what I'm saying. But it's got to do better than that to be Star Trek. Like,
I'll take a solid B- all goddamn day long. That's just life, man. If you're hitting B- in life, that's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, man.
Like that's dude, there's so much shit that can go wrong, especially in doing something like a television show. Forget that it has like the most rabid fan base that's ever existed. Like, just forget that, right? You're just doing a show. And 15 people are saying this, 100 people are doing that. It has to dead come out Tuesday at 8 p.m. It's amazing anything gets done at all. So if you're doing that at a consistent, you got some shitty ones, but you have some A+ ones, and where you get the feeling is, it's a good 83. That's a solid B-. That's amazing.
I guess that's the original series kind of cadence. You know what I mean? Like there were some stinkeroos in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Nobody's saying never.
And I agree.
I like the
Strange New World season 2, gotta do it.
Just like Star Trek Next Generation season 2 was season 1 was a write-off, not great, right? So
yeah, but that wasn't their fault. That was the writer's strike season. So like the first 3 episodes are like scripts they had laying around for the Star Trek Phase 2 or whatever.
Phase 17.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, folks, holy cow. You know what that sound means? That sound means we've run out of sci-fi content to discuss for the week. So
wait, Hector, read this. Hector says when he wins the lottery, which could be happening, $1.2 billion for the Powerball. I get to be executive producer. I just want that all witnessed.
Oh my gosh.
You're incorrect. Because thank you, Hector. It'd be my pleasure to serve at the.
What do you think? What would have cost more? What if Elon Musk had said, "I'm going to buy Star Trek" instead? Do you think he could have bought it for like the equivalent? Like if he took the same amount of money and made an offer to Paramount to be like, "I want Star Trek," you think he could have got it? I don't think so. What's worth more, Star Trek or Twitter? Anybody? Nobody?
I kind of don't.
Star Trek.
I'm just kind of trying to think about how you would value the whole Star Trek IP.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
So, like, here's your invoice. So that's why this might be let me think about this, because that'd be kind of awesome.
Okay.
I just want them to make toys. Like, for God's sake, people, make some toys.
I mean, we do have precedent that you could base the price off of, though. So let's just say this: is it over or under Star Wars?
It's way under.
I mean, I would say if Star Wars is worth
under,
4,
right?
If Star Wars is worth 4 before Disney got it, I would say I would put Star Trek at 1.
It's not that. That's why it's way under. Like, they didn't get Star Wars for $4 billion. They got all of Lucasfilm, which was like Lucas Arts and Lucas.
True, good point.
Lucas,
Great point.
THX and like everything. So they got a fucking lot of shit. And all of Indiana Jones. That was a cool buy. But that's an excellent point, because that makes me think, well, that's completely doable, because it's way less. Like $4 billion is nothing to Elon Musk. Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It seems like you could put that deal together if you were trying to get Star Trek, control of Star Trek for the next ever. Oh man. Okay, like I can tell you for a fact, if you had said this idea to me 20 years ago, I would be working on a bootleg graphic novel right now. That is fucking fantastic. Like,
Who's
guys,
the biggest dork
the guy
billionaire?
who hits the lottery and buys Star Trek.
Yeah, who's
Oh my
who would do it? I don't know. I'm trying hard to think who would.
What do you mean? To draw it?
Well, I mean, those guys are so like of our existing billionaires. Like those guys are so
Oh,
like
oh.
I mean,
Actually
Bezos-
do it.
so they're so joyless and like money focused and whatever that I just don't see a passion thing.
I mean, if anybody, it's going to be Bezos, right? I mean, he single-handedly got
Yeah,
this.
all right.
Yeah.
He's got his
Space
relationship with
and brings his
Shaq.
brother and William Shatner.
Yeah. Yes. That's pretty obvious. Sorry,
We all
guys.
live in a Bezos world, you know.
You're right.
Man,
You're right.
Let's make that happen. I gotta write to. Yeah, Lord of the Rings. He single-handedly brought Expanse back from the dead. He's our guy. Why have I not done this before?
Mark Benioff's brother, Mark Benioff of Salesforce's brother, is Benioff of Game of Thrones too. So there's like a blood connection.
Oh yeah, you know what they do in San Francisco at Halloween, right? At the big Salesforce Tower, they have, it lights up so it looks like the Eye of Sauron.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So,
the only one.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I gotta get us out of here.
So anyway, about
I gotta
Epstein.
write to Bezos.
Larry, get on that letter writing campaign. All you folks out there on the internet, get on board the Serious Star Trek campaign and make sure to click maybe thumbs up if you like this thing. You click thumbs down if you didn't like it, but leave a comment. Give us some engagement, critical engagement. I want to thank you guys for watching. This Thursday, Larry, I'm thinking $1 million mailbox. I got one lined up, maybe with another special guest star.
Ooh, that sounds good. I love it.
Maybe. I don't want to tip my hat yet.
I just I had the whole I want to make a joke, but it would be at someone's expense, so I better not because I get canceled or something.
Is it at my expense?
No, I was gonna say,
say
we're doing Thursday a $1 Million Picnic, super special guest star. I was gonna go as long as it's not like Don Simpson, right? Like something like that. But I'm like, what's the point of that? I'm just joking.
You just backdoored it. You just backdoored Don right in the back door.
Well, I have to be true to myself. I can't say, this is not Ryan Clater. No.
Don is tearing it up on social media right now. I'm definitely going to have him back again. He's been one of our more popular guests recently. But we will be back for Serious Star Trek. I think it's going to be when? Next Tuesday. Earth Pacific time, 3 p.m. Earth Pacific time. But Captain Fun, where is that going to be?
On the internet.
Hello out there. I'm Mr. Sulu of Star Trek. When I'm out in space, I use the Starship Enterprise to get around. When I'm here in Milwaukee, I ride the bus to save time and money. Your $5 weekly pass is a great buy. Your bus tickets, the greatest. Take it from a man who knows. Your Milwaukee County transit system is really out of this world.
Come ride with us on the bus.